know one issue that everybody wants debated. It's the discrepancy in funding between those supported by the Ministry of Health
and others funded by the Accident Compensation Corporation. Attitude spoke to the courageous woman who's taking on the system, challenging the Ministry of Health under the Human Rights Act.
Melanie Trevithick is a busy woman. She's a freelance writer, an advisor with the Multiple Sclerosis Society, and mother to Eve, a teenager with special needs, and another grown-up daughter. And right now, she's on the verge of creating legal history.
There'll be a website up shortly, so I think when that's there, we're going to be able to get the information out to the public.
From the kitchen bench of this two-bedroom unit in Cambridge, she's working on her groundbreaking case against the government, claiming discrimination. It's a case that affects everyone with a disability. The guts of it, the seeming inequity between MOH and ACC funding. If she succeeds, the lives of hundreds of thousands of disabled New Zealanders could be dramatically changed. So is she a rebel or just plain gutsy?
Oh, I don't go out of my way to be a pain in the neck, but in this particular instance I'm more than happy to be so. It's 4 years in the making to this point, and I expect that we may have a few more to go if we go through to the Supreme Court. But I'm very determined that it's going to do so. I'm not giving up on this, because since my daughter was born with special needs, I have met families and have heard firsthand on their fights and their difficulties and frustrations with the legislation that discriminates, that makes it impossible for them to, as the Enable funding jargon says, maintain the dignity and independence of their clients. It doesn't. It's a joke.
And she believes the inequity in funding is in direct contradiction to the government's own disability strategy.
The New Zealand Disability Strategy of April 2001 from our own Ministry of Health states in Objective 7.5, encourage equity of funding and service provision for people of similar disabilities regardless of the cause of their impairment. That is exactly what I am asking for. I want the Ministry to honour their politically correct document. I want the government to put their money where their mouth is and to create an even playing field for people with disabilities. It's completely unjustifiable to do anything else.
Melanie was a professional musician. She played the French horn in orchestras all over the world. She was diagnosed with MS 10 years ago. Since then, she's had to give up her music and much of her independence. She relies on funding from the Ministry of Health through an organisation called Enable New Zealand, but it's not enough. 49-year-old Melanie's been forced to sell her home and move into a residential village for the elderly. But if she'd had an accident and qualified for ACC, she would have had far more support. And it's this inequity that's at the heart of Melanie's legal campaign to sue the government.
Well, under the Ministry of Health, 28 hours a week, I'm told, is the maximum anyone can get for personal care. And that can involve getting you out of bed during the day, doing anything during the day, and then going to bed at night. Now, under ACC, they will provide 24-hour home care, which is quite a bit of difference.
The need for transport was the catalyst for Melanie's legal action. As her condition worsened, she needed an adapted vehicle to take her electric wheelchair.
When I saw it, I thought that's exactly what we need. But no funding was forthcoming, so I just did everything I had to do to find that money, and unfortunately selling my home was part of it. The car actually cost, with the modifications I needed, $92,000.
She needs a car to get to Waikato Hospital. Every 3 weeks, her daughter Eve has to have long drug infusions for an immune disorder. Born 16 weeks premature, she's faced several life-threatening episodes, including a 9-month battle with pneumonia.
They take about an hour for when they go through. I just sit here and wait until it's finished.
It's all a world away from the corporate Wellington offices belonging to Melanie's lawyer, John Miller. The case is before the Human Rights Commission.
It's a hard case because it's new law, right? New law. And so even if the Human Rights Tribunal come out in our favour, I would imagine that the Crown will appeal to the High Court. Right? And even if we win in the end, what we get is a declaration that the government's acting in a discriminatory manner, which is, appalling. You don't want governments to do that. And the relevant minister has to put that before the House of Representatives. So it could still be that you get the declaration that this is an appalling example of discrimination by the government, but the government says, well, we're still not doing anything about it.
Attitude's legal consultant, Andre Lubber, reckons there are several ways to challenge the inequity, but it's a big undertaking.
The Ministry of Health in itself doesn't discriminate. It treats everybody the same irrespective of how they had their accident. The difference is that the ACC system does discriminate, but it discriminates in a way that is sanctioned by Parliament. And to that extent, I think that claiming that there has been unlawful discrimination is going to be difficult.
Both agree that whether the case is successful or not, pressure must be put on the government to address this issue. Back home, Melanie checks her emails. She gets hundreds of calls from disabled people all over the country about her legal action. Up to now, the MS Society has paid all Melanie's legal bills, but she's hoping her lawyer may be able to get her legal aid. She's not surprised that no one else has taken legal action.
Because I think people with disabilities are facing enough in their lives. Just getting through the day is enough, and the thought of taking on the Ministry of Health is probably just outside of a lot of people's ability, energy levels, and just expectation of success. I mean, I'm just so incensed by the whole system that I'm thinking, well, why the heck not? Give it a go. I mean, there must be some sense of social justice. We have a Labour government based on a philosophy of exactly that. And I am living in hope that they will fulfil what they state in their disability strategy.
The case will be in the public arena for quite some time yet. In the meantime, a public relations company is helping Melanie embark on an awareness campaign, and a charitable trust has been set up to help pay for legal fees. The outcome with this challenge could change the way thousands of Kiwis are supported. At the very least, it's got people talking.
We know there are many stories out there about this issue. Please get in touch. Email us. We have a new address, attitude@attitudetv.co.nz.